The votes are in.
Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
Now see the 10 episodes you chose in the Lost in Space Marathon, plus the broadcast pilot and the rarely seen original pilot, exclusive interviews with the original cast, and a special sneak peek at the upcoming Lost in Space movie. Celebrate the 30th anniversary of the launch of the Jupiter 2 in the Sci-Fi Channel's Lost in Space Marathon. Begins next. Today, October 16th, 1997, the launch of the Jupiter 2 and the beginning of our Lost in Space Marathon. Now the 1965 pilot, The Reluctant Stowaway.
This is the beginning. This is the beginning. This is the day. You are watching the unfolding of one of history's great adventures.
What did I think the world was going to be like in 1997 when we were making the show? Pretty much like it is now.
The Robinson family was selected from more than 2 million volunteers.
After all, there are people living in space, on a space station.
Wow, if I could have projected the future back then, I would have played the stock market, I think.
I never gave it a thought.
I assumed that we would be colonizing the universe.
Man's colonization of space beyond the stars.
The 60s were very turbulent years. You know, the assassinations, the war in Vietnam. We had more to worry about what was happening on Earth than we could handle. So I think we were all hoping that by 1997 we'd have lasting peace and we'd live in harmony.
Well, the silver suits, of course, were wonderful.
The first season in the pilot, they were very hot and very, very constricting.
But if you bent your arm, it actually stopped the circulation. We had to kind of lie there, just in between takes.
We had to have ironing boards that we would, like Frankenstein, we would lean back in these ironing boards. They changed those in the second season. They made them out of like mylar or something and became quite comfy.
Impact is tremendous today from Lost in Space.
I think it's because of the innocence of the show.
It's the nostalgia part of it.
Mommy and Daddy, who watched it 30 years ago, had children.
The baby boomers today, when they think back 20, 30 years ago, when they were 6, 8 years old, those were good years for them. The home, the family, the mother, the pies, all that kind of stuff, you know, good things happening. Ever thought about the fashion world when I was doing Lost in Space?
I do know that the fashion of the day influenced the fashion that we wore.
I loved the first season on-planet costume. It was just a very simple navy blue kind of velour and ski pants with black boots.
I hated my hair. I mean, they had it piled up to here. I mean, it looked like I had two heads.
The second year was that tunicky one.
The second one was kind of orange with the little yellow turtle dicky thing. I didn't like that as much. I don't look good in orange.
And then I wore these funny-looking culottes and a wool sweater.
I liked the third outfit because it was loose and it was collared.
The next year I liked, and the last year I liked.
The third season was purple and yellow, and I kind of liked that one.
Mine was orange in the last year, the little mini skirt.
If memory serves, I don't believe there was a zipper in the pants, which made it a little tricky.
The greatest acting challenge in the show, of course, was pretending that you could really see some great special effect coming at you, and all of us clutching each other and saying, "Look out, here it comes again!" And of course, we were looking at nothing. Really, one of the funniest things about working in space, the actors hanging over the boards and looking out the window and saying, "Oh gosh, did you ever see anything like that?" And they're looking simply at the prop men standing out there waiting to break for lunch, you know.
This is a small model of the outfit that I wore every day. It was around 6 foot to 6'5", something in that vicinity. In the full outfit, it weighed 350 pounds. The bottom section we called the legs. I would get into that first by stepping on here and then stepping into it. Then they would put the bodice on me. Then they would attach the top. This is where I looked out. The bubble was the head. That's why Jonathan Harris called it a bubble-headed booby.
Working with the children on the set, as they were at that time, was marvelous.
I had a lot of work to do. You know, Will Robinson had a pretty heavy workload.
When you're a kid, you need to, fulfill your school requirements. So you have to go to school for 3 hours every day.
The hardest part was going into rehearse like a 2 or 3 page scene where you've got a lot of dialogue and remembering your marks and all that stuff. And then as soon as they start lighting it, being rushed off to a trailer to forget about it and go to school.
And it's intense studying at that time. I mean, you go in and you have to get right to work. And then you're pulled out and all of a sudden you're on some planet, facing some alien.
I discovered that CBS did a survey.
I don't know what a vagrant impulse means.
And they went to the schools. The surveyor asked, who watched Lost in Space? And all the hands went up. The surveyor said, what did Dr. Smith say that you didn't understand?
What is cosmonium, the quintessence of?
Well, the teacher made us go to the dictionary and find out what they meant.
Mighty pretty words, that boy.
That just charmed my bones and my heart. I love Debbie, but I was terrified of her. She's a wild animal.
Oh, he's darling. May I have him?
Looks like you found yourself a home.
Was a chimpanzee with a really uncomfortable hat on.
She didn't like girls. She bit Angela twice. Really, that was very serious, but she never gave me any trouble.
Hey, come on back!
Louis the trainer told me, you can train a wild animal but never tame one. Debbie, by the way, came back for the 2nd year, de-toothed.
I think that Vegetable Rebellion is probably the worst show I've ever seen.
I just remember a big carrot.
The epitome of bad TV.
Sir?
Ah, there you are, young seedling. You've come to make some sort of sentimental appeal, am I correct?
I'll never get over it. The whole thing was, talk about let's go out in the backyard and play space. I mean, it was like being in kindergarten.
June and Guy and Mark didn't even pretend. I mean, they couldn't do it without laughing.
Tell me something, Darbo. Why do you want to turn me into a teakwood tree?
Would be one of my better achievements.
I went to the director. I said, I think I'm a pretty good actor, but how do you talk to a carrot, And he said, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Just the same way you would a piece of celery.
Moisture! Moisture! I need moisture! The Vegetable Rebellion was written by our best writer, Peter Packer, who was a brilliant, imaginative, creative, fertile brain, which went into crazy, wonderful directions. And he wrote The Great Vegetable Rebellion. He brought it to my dressing room, I remember, and wouldn't give it to me. He kept doing, I said, Peter, give me that script. He said, you're going to be sorry. And I said, why? He said, it's total trash. I said, then why did you write it? He said, I don't have another idea in my head. That's television. It eats up the material.
The most memorable one, without a doubt, is the one called The Vegetable Rebellion.
Well, I'm glad one of you animals appreciates us. Go on.
Totally preposterous situation, which made us all laugh so much during the shooting that Guy Williams and I were written out of the next 2 episodes for laughing, which we thought was terribly funny because we were written out at full salary.
I was hired to play a deep-dyed, snarling villain who bored me to death.
No, don't wake them. Why not? It's their lives, too, and since I'm the only one who can pilot this ship.
Also, there's no longevity in a part like that because I realized that in, 5 episodes they'd have to kill me off. So I created from the ground up the Smith that we have all come to know and love.
Doomed to Devil's Island. Oh, dear, the pain, the pain.
I developed that whole thing with the robot, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. Whoever had a robot is a straight man.
You bubble-headed booby, do you realize what you've done?
And I decided he was also my alter ego.
I was on the point of landing on the Isle of Capri. Now I'll never get there.
Sorry, Dr. Smith, but it was only a dream.
Only a dream indeed, my dear boy.
I think of all the myriad parts that I've played, he's my great favorite.
You've got to resist it. Oh, I'm trying, but it's so hard not to.
I was under some kind of a spell, and this music kind of made me dance.
Penny, this is